The challenge that we face within our sector is that the mantra, if you like, of engineering and skills and apprenticeships is always seen by particularly parents in our society as a second-class career. Whereas if you go and look at other areas of the world, Germany, for example, if you're in this space, you're very much, this is the prime space to be in. It's apprenticeships and engineering drive the economy and they drive the success. That's the story that we need to be selling here in Northern Ireland, that engineering and apprenticeships is the way forward. That's where the jobs are.
Welcome to Workplus, the podcast that shines a light on the people doing good work across Northern Ireland. I'm your host, Richard Kirk, founder of Workplus. I've spent years working with employers, schools, colleges and universities, helping young people and career changers to make better informed career decisions. Each week, I sit down with real people doing real jobs to explore how they got there, what they've learned, and why their work matters. If you're a parent, teacher, carer, or just curious about what good work looks like today, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Gordon, I'm so pleased that you've joined us today on the podcast. Thanks so much for coming in.
Pleasure to be here, Richard.
Thank you. Gordon, recently there was an action plan published around green skills in Northern Ireland. You chaired that group with government and industry, and 58,000 extra jobs are forecast over the next few years. Can you tell us a bit about green skills? What does that actually mean?
It's a really good question, Richard, because there is a lot of confusion around what green skills really means. And the Green Skills and Jobs Task Force have defined it as any activity that directly or indirectly contributes to the achievement of net zero by 2050. And that's probably the simplest definition. Yeah. But there's a nice definition already established also by the Institute of Apprenticeships and Technical Education. And they use a scale from dark green through to light green. And the darker green the job is, and it's totally involved in green skills. For example, an electric vehicle charger installer, that would be totally dark green. You know, a wind turbine producer or a wind turbine installer, those would be dark green jobs. Low carbon technology technician, sustainability officer, those are all very clearly dark green because they're purely associated, and all activities are associated with green skills. Mm-hmm. However, the lighter green are those that are in support or indirect roles, and that could be procurement officers, HR officers, planners, data analytics. They're more light green on the scale, where the core nature of the job's not going to change because they've got a core set of skills that can apply to any sector. But there's a number of the areas of their knowledge and behaviour and skills that needs to be aligned directly with green skills.
Okay, good.
So that's maybe gives some way to describe it, but I think it's anything that directly or indirectly describes the roles that are contributing to net zero. Yeah. And it's either on a dark green or a light green scale.
And is this something that industry has really bottomed out right now, or is it still, in a bit of flux? We're still trying to work out what the jobs are needed? Because I'm thinking about, teachers, parents, young people maybe looking to change career, who might be excited at thinking, wow, there are jobs out here, but has it all been settled just yet, or is it still a work in progress?
It's very much a work in progress, and new jobs are emerging each and every month and each and every year. And technologies are also emerging. And an example of that, if you take the installation of heat pumps are going to replace oil, and eventually at some point they'll replace gas in the system. So your traditional plumber and your traditional electrician, those technologies are merging. So in future will be apprenticeships that are combined, plumbing and electricians that can install heat pumps. So the technologies are merging, the skills are merging. Multi-skilled technicians will be needed in areas where previously there were specialists. So it's evolving. That's at the frontline level. It's also evolving at the leadership level in terms of climate change and how that's all going to work out. And there are new programs being developed by our universities and colleges as we speak in leadership, in climate change and in climate action and in the green skills area. So it's very exciting because it's evolving and it's new, and there are roles that will be around in 3 or 4 years' time that we haven't even heard of now.
Brilliant. I was chatting recently with an individual from Energia, which is not linked to NIE, but it's part of that energy system. And she was saying that they really attracted people in because of the story that they told, the impact that they're having, about the better future they're creating. Is that something that at NIE is a big part of what you're trying to do in your day and daily?
Absolutely. The challenge that we face within our sector is that the mantra, if you like, of engineering and skills and apprenticeships is always seen by particularly parents in our society as a second-class career. Whereas if you go and look at other areas of the world, Germany, for example, if you're in this space, you're very much, this is the prime space to be in. It's apprenticeships and engineering drive the economy and the drive the success. That's the story that we need to be selling here in Northern Ireland, that engineering and apprenticeships is the way forward. That's where the jobs are. There's 58, if you said 58,000 new jobs in this space over the next 10 years, that's on top of 105,000 jobs that already exist. And lots of those people will be retiring. So it's a huge opportunity for highly paid, highly skilled jobs. They're really interesting jobs with a lot of variety. People are not doing the same thing every day. They're involved in lots of teamwork, lots of team building. The organizations that they're working for are very creative and provide flexible working. So the opportunities are immense, and a lot of our young people are not aware of those opportunities because it's not on their radar. It's not on their radar in schools. It's not on their radar within the home. So the more that we can do to promote awareness of all these new, very exciting roles in these areas, which are very, very vast. I've given you some examples from the frontline jobs, which are the technical technician type jobs, right through to leadership roles, a vast array of roles that exist currently and new roles that are going to exist. So it's an exciting story. It's an exciting future. And everybody that comes into this sector is assured of a job for life, providing they want a job for life and they're prepared to work.
And tell us a bit about your own journey then into NIE. How long have you been there for, and what's your own career journey look like?
I'm in my 25th year in NIE now. I joined originally for 3 years. I'm in my 45th year in my career in total. So just over half has been with NIE Networks. And I always used to be, as a young boy, impressed by individuals that I saw who were out all over the countryside and all this fancy equipment, climbing poles, and it just amazed me, the work that they did. So I was always really interested in it. And then when the opportunity came to join as HR director 25 years ago, I took it with both hands because it's always been an organisation that impressed me in terms of what the organisation does for society. And it's a service that everybody takes for granted until you lose your electricity. All of a sudden you come home and you have no power, and NIE is the first number you look for in the book when you're in that situation. But otherwise, you don't see us and you don't know that we're there. So it's a fantastic service that we provide to society, not only keeping the lights on, but also developing all the new technologies to enable renewable energy and to enable people to have clean energy between now and 80% will be between now and 2030. So that's a pretty fast track over the next 5 years. And then zero in terms of fossil fuels by 2050. And if you think of what that does for our society, there's $2 billion a year at the moment flowing out in what we pay for fossil fuels, $2 billion a year in Northern Ireland going overseas. That money's going to stay in our society, creating jobs and infrastructure.
That's exciting to hear. And we've had that in stark contrast about the value that we place on our electricity system with all the storms that we've had. You talked about those who are out there in the field working with NIE on the poles or down in the trenches at the side of the road. But there are more jobs out there in NIE, are there? Tell us a bit more about some of the other job roles that you have at NIE.
Well, we have, latest count, 67 different job roles within our business, and that's growing all the time. Some of the newer roles are data analytics and data analysts, specifically in relation to green skills. We couldn't get those skills in the marketplace, so we just recently launched an initiative with the local colleges, and we have a data analytics academy. Alongside that, we haven't been able to get planners, and planners are needed across many, many sectors. So again, with the local colleges, we've put all the right qualifications together, and we have a planning academy, again, which has been supported by the department and is run through the local colleges. So the great thing at the moment is there's flexibility within the Department for the Economy to help develop the appropriate qualifications through our education sector, to help work with employers to develop apprenticeships and provide structures for employers that maybe don't have those structures, to ensure that the academic piece is linked to the frontline piece. But the roles are broad, from planning, data analytics. I mentioned procurement officer before. HR, very, very keen and very key in all of these areas. We've grown our HR team significantly because they provide the frontline support, and they're out in the schools promoting awareness alongside some of our latest new apprentices and new graduates.
Brilliant. And you've mentioned apprentices a number of times already in the conversation. When we think of apprenticeships, NIE is certainly one of the organisations that have been doing this for decades. Why is that the case? Like, what's so special about apprenticeships?
So the NIE apprenticeship program is now over 50 years old. 50, so it's very embedded in the business, and it's our way of doing business now, and that's how we recruit. We recruit primarily through apprenticeships, and we grow our own people. And 40% of our senior management team started as apprentices. But equally, we also have individuals who love the role that they're in and don't want to become a manager or don't want to develop beyond their existing role. They love being on the tools. They love being out and about. They love the teamwork and the freedom of not being in a closed environment all day. And so we've got roles for everyone. Those that love to be in leadership roles, those that love to be in practical roles, they're all accommodated. But in relation to our apprenticeship program, it's a core way. We now have 13 different apprenticeships, and those run from level 2 right up to higher level apprenticeships. And they're a core structured way of earning and learning at the same time. We have our own training centres. We have our own training instructors that are approved and accredited by all the relevant bodies, and then we link in partnership with education and organisations like yourselves, where we are out there promoting the awareness of apprenticeships, encouraging more people to apply into our sector. Because of all the good work that we do in that space, we end up with around 1,000 applicants for apprentices. And one of the challenges we face is maybe we have about 150 people in our apprenticeship scheme at the moment, but it means we're turning away a lot of people. And I'd certainly like to see more mechanisms in place to capture all of those 1,000 people that displayed an interest in us and our apprenticeship and ensure that they find their way into an apprenticeship somewhere in society, because we need them. There's not enough young people that are coming through the system that are interested and that are doing apprenticeships. And there's much more interest now from employers than there was in the past. You and I both know that the numbers of employers have been very, very low compared to what we thought it should be. 40% want apprenticeships and less than 10% have been involved in apprenticeships. And that's because they don't know, one, how to get the people, and two, how to run the apprenticeship, and three, how to do, in particular, the academic piece of it. So helping employers in all of that space is a big part of what we're going to be doing in the Green Skills agenda.
Great. And to bring those two things together, you often talked about apprentices like growing your own tomatoes. That's a wonderful story you've shared a few times. Would you mind sharing that with listeners today, just about how you grow your own tomatoes during COVID?
And the analogy is that when you grow your own, that you appreciate it so much more. And that's the case with our apprentices. We grow our own. And as a result of that, 96% of those apprentices stay with us. And the analogy I used is that whenever in COVID, I really, really loved tomatoes, and the shelves were bare, couldn't find them anywhere. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to order the seeds in and I'm going to grow them myself, which I did. It took well over a year to get experienced at it. But the analogy is so true, because when you grow something yourself, first of all, it's less expensive. Second of all, you have a reliable source. And the third area is that you can grow the different flavors to suit what you need. So you can, in the apprentice analogy, you can mold the apprentice's skills to align with the business needs. So growing your own in terms of that analogy was something that it made me sit back and reflect. Now these tomatoes taste so much better than what you get from the store because you've grown them yourself. And in the workplace, our own employees, we're so much more proud of them because we've grown them ourselves. We've seen the skills develop. So it's just, the analogy works.
Totally, and the proof is there. It's a recognised apprenticeship program. You've got the high retention rates that you've talked about. You mentioned the Data Analytics Academy, which I think you did 2 years ago, and you mentioned that it's going to happen again. Is that that's not for school leavers then? Is that for those who are looking, maybe changing careers?
That's for those that want to transition, that have perhaps made a wrong career choice. One of the areas we're really interested in, and there's a lot of individuals that have made the wrong career choice, that have ended up in roles that they don't enjoy, or they've ended up with really good degrees, but there's no roles in those degrees, and helping them reposition by using the data analytics and higher level apprenticeship route is key. And that particular program wasn't NIE alone. That was a number of employers coming together with the local colleges saying, we have a need for data analytics. Can you run a program? And so this was a joint program. And I think more of that collaboration is needed as well.
Yeah.
And data analytics is one area, but there are many other roles where people can transition at whatever stage they're at in their career. We have individuals who have had very successful careers joining us and going out there and meter reading for us at the front line, really enjoying the customer interaction and really being very good in that space, because aligning with the fact that, you know, lots of people maybe on their own, they're in a home and they don't see too many people during the day. And you've got now these experienced people arriving to read their meter, but also taking time to have a chat and find out how they are, and really providing a service to society much broader than reading a meter.
Yeah.
But that's individuals that potentially have had a very stressful job and they want to reskill, and they want to reskill into an area where they can not have to worry about anything else other than the job they do and serving the customer.
Yeah, I can testify to having personal experience of that. I had one of your meter readers come to the house and he loved his job. I think he was in a very technical, stressful job before that. And he just loves people, and it really shone through. And he was very keen to show me his badge to make sure I knew he was an official NIE employee as well. So the training is fantastic there. You mentioned about the likes of the smart grid and the electric. We've got electric vehicles now, and we've had wind turbines for a long time. How does that change the types of skills that you need within NIE, Gordon? Like, what's that transition look like?
Well, I mentioned meter reading recently there, and one of your last questions. But if you think of smart metering being implemented, and we're on a progression path towards that, and that means meters will no longer need to be read, but those meters will still need to be serviced. We'll still need to check them, so the skills will be different. It'll no longer be purely someone that's reading the meter. They'll be out there to do a complete service check on the meter to make sure it's operating appropriately and effectively, and ensuring that customers are getting the best value of a smart meter, which will allow customers to regulate when they use electricity and pick the cheapest times when they charge their car, for example. You know, there's certain windows when it's cheaper to charge your car. Smart meter will provide all of that information. So that technology is changing. We need to have our people trained first to install them, and then secondly to maintain them. So the jobs of meter readers will reduce and will disappear, but the smart meter technicians will take over.
Yeah, great. And in those years that you've been working, 25 years at NIE and maybe even years previous to that, what have you learned about making these very technical careers feel prestigious to young people, parents, schools? You mentioned that the value of your apprenticeship program, it's attractive to people. What are some of those things that others could learn from about making those technical careers feel really prestigious?
The key to making any role attractive to anyone is to have good role models, people that can present something that's inspiring to somebody that's maybe lost their way, doesn't know where they want to go in their career, and then they hear a story from someone. So storytelling from role models is key. And if you've got people doing that in the right way, then you can attract people into your sector. And we've learned that in recent years. That's not something we've always done. It used to be, for example, part of my role would be to go into schools and talk to young people, but I'm the wrong person to do that. The right person to do that is a role model who's a young apprentice who's maybe just not out of their time, loving what they do. They're standing there in all the gear. They're enthusiastic about it, and they're saying how wonderful it is. That's what sells the role. Inspirational stories.
Brilliant. That's great. So if careers teachers out there, teachers who are advising young people, could do one thing differently tomorrow, what would you encourage them to do?
I would suggest an increased awareness of knowing what they don't know. In other words, ensuring as part of their development that they spend time in sectors like ours, the utility sector, the green skills sector, being one step ahead and learning where all the new jobs are before they arise. And that means a very close collaboration with employers. So the one thing I would just feel that they can do differently is they do an amazing job when they know what the career is, then they'll steer people in that direction. But it's learning about the jobs they don't know, finding out, knowing what they don't know, and broadening their awareness of the full career range that's there so that young people aren't restricting their options. I do feel there's too many young people restrict their options and stick to the careers that are known, and they perhaps don't enjoy it and go down the wrong route. And we see that in a number of people that join us in later years and then transition into us through a higher level apprenticeship. But careers advisors working more closely with schools, more closely with employers, and broadening their awareness would be the key for me.
Great. Well, Gordon, as we come to the end of the conversation, I've just got one question to finish, and it's for you, what's so good about work?
For me, it's the people that you work with, and that's where you get your passion from. And also recognizing when you're in a business as we are, where you can see the impact on society, whether it be a storm and restoring people as quickly as we can, or whether when we're out there and we're talking to schools and we see young people's eyes light up once they understand that here's a whole career I hadn't thought of. It's all about the people and ensuring that we, first of all, in relation to our own employees, look after them well, be kind to them, reward them well, ensure that they feel happy in the job that they do. And then more broadly in society, make sure that we're at the centre of this amazing change to renewable energy, which is ultimately going to give everybody cheaper electricity bills, reliable sources of electricity, because every time there's a war look at the current war between Russia and Ukraine, and then the supply problems. So continuity of supply, ensuring a society that is self-dependent and that's creating jobs within our sector. And that 2 billion, I talked about staying within society. So there's the financial benefit, there's the people benefit, there's the whole area of feeling you're making a difference is what helps me get out of bed in the morning and want to do my job at my stage in my career.
Brilliant. Well, you definitely do. I know that you're a role model for a lot of people, and the organisation that you're helping to lead at NIE definitely makes a huge difference. So thank you. Thanks for your time today, and wish you every continued success in your career.
Pleasure, Richard, and you keep up the good work in terms of Workplus and all the organisational achievements that you guys have delivered for this society is second to none, and we need you to be able to grow your business to have much more effectiveness right across this society.
Well, thank you, Gordon. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Workplus. If today's story gave you fresh perspective or helped you rethink what's possible, leave us a review on your favourite podcast platform or hit like and subscribe. It really does make a big difference. For more stories, resources, and tools to help guide the next generation, visit workplus.app. Until next time.